I was listening to somebody just the other day. Some guy, unfortunately, he also wears a turban, claims to be a marja, but he's casting doubt about almost every pillar of the school of Ahlul Bayt. One of them is that these 4 emissaries, how did they have access to the Imam? How do we know they were telling the truth? This kind of thing. And so, this is why I'm mentioning these points. The Shia were never naive people. You, all of us, we're not naive. Yes, you have Shia who probably have a lesser inclination towards learning the truth. People who are less interested, perhaps, in finding out what the truth actually is. But in general, the Shia were not naive, simplistic idiots. They were people who often challenge what is being presented to them, and that's a good thing, right? You should demand evidence. I've always said that even when you have a speaker, as respectable as they may be, if they say something that doesn't quite sit right with your mainstream beliefs and the mainstream Shia faith, you should challenge them. And I'm not saying be disrespectful. I'm saying ask them for evidence. Ask them, tell them, where do we find this in the Quran? Where do we find this in the traditions of the Ahlul Bayt? So the Shia were never naive people. In fact, when Imam al-Hasan al-Askari alayhi salam passed away, we have many incidents like this, but I'll mention one. When Imam al-Hasan al-Askari passed away, a delegation came from Qum, Wafdul Qummiyin. This delegation came to Samarra, and they were on a mission to find who the next Imam was. So they came, and the person who had taken the position of Imama after Imam al-Hasan al-Askari was Ja'far ibn Ali al-Hadi, who was Imam al-Hasan al-Askari's brother. Some people have called him Ja'far al-Kadhab, even though he was the son of an Imam, the brother of an Imam, the uncle of an Imam, but he has been given the title of the lying Ja'far because he claimed to be the Imam following his brother's passing. So they came to him, he said, I'm the Imam after my brother. They said, okay, no offense, no disrespect, but your brother used to be able to tell us about the unseen world. Meaning that we now have in our possession a specific amount of money and letters from the Shia in Qum addressed to the Imam. If you are truly the Imam, then tell us how much money we have and how many letters we have and from whom are those letters. Ja'far obviously didn't have access to this kind of knowledge of the unseen, and so he said, no, that's not true, you're lying about my brother having knowledge of the unseen. Then he reported them to the authorities. He said to the Abbasid Caliph at the time, you should arrest these people because they're lying about my brother having knowledge of the unseen. So the Shia were never naive people. When it came to determining who the Imam was or who spoke for the Imam, they did what we now call what? Due diligence. Due diligence means you do your research, you find out. You don't just give in because someone told you something. Anyway, so when it came to these emissaries, they had to prove themselves. It wasn't like one day Uthman ibn Sa'id al-Amri, as-Samman, some oil merchant, claims to be the representative of the Imam and everyone believes him. They had to prove their reliability, their authenticity. They even performed miracles. Even miracles. One day, Al-Sumari, who was the 4th emissary, was sitting down with some of his companions when all of a sudden he said, لَقَدْ مَاتَ Ibn Babwayh al-Qummi. Right now, Ibn Babwayh al-Qummi has passed away. Remember that As-Sumari was in Baghdad. Ibn Babwayh al-Qummi, we mentioned him the other night. He's the father of Shaykh al-Saduq. He's the one who prayed and asked Imam-e-Zaman for children who would be good and righteous, and the Imam prayed for him. He lived in Qum. So between Qum and Baghdad, there's quite a distance back in the day. There was no instant messaging where you could tell someone that something like that had happened. He said that Ibn Babwayh al-Qummi just died. His companions said, you know what, that's a bold claim, we need to test it out. So what they did was, they said, فَضَبَطْنَا الْيَوْمَ وَالشَّهْرِ. We made a notation as to the exact hour and day and month when he claimed that Ibn Babwayh al-Qummi, who was a great scholar, has just passed away. A week after that, news arrived from Qum that Ibn Babwayh al-Qummi had died at this hour, on this day, in this month. So they verified it, and it turns out that he died at the exact moment when As-Sumari had told him that he had died. In other words, these scholars, these emissaries, these deputies of Imam-e-Zaman were subjected to rigorous testing. Right? They had to prove that they were the real deal.